This is the Creative Download, hosted by Christy Bruno and Chelsea Nettleton. Created by creatives to inspire and encourage others to live in the fullness of their creativity. How are you, Christy?
Hi, excited to see you.
No, I feel like it's been a little while. Life has just been a little bit crazy. So it's good to see you, and I'm glad to be back with you.
I know. And we do have some followers, so thank you for everyone listening. I know that I get notifications that more and more people are listening or watching on YouTube. So thank you so much. And if you are, please follow, please subscribe so you know when the next episodes are coming out. So I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, same. And we've had to there has just been some random weird stuff the last month or so. So we haven't recorded, I think.
Too. Yeah.
Some good stuff, which is great. But I don't think we've recorded for about a month, which is wild. Yeah. So I'm excited. We're gonna be getting on a kind of an every other week basis again. So So just so you guys know, we do want to get that more consistent. And thanks for bearing with us while we've kind of been navigating, life. Yeah. Not that anybody out there can understand that at all, right, Christy?
I know. And it's good, like we do pay our bills. This is we say it a lot on these, on all of the podcasts, but like, this is what we do. We meet, we talk about what we're doing creatively, and we decided we wanted to share it with you guys. So that this is really like giving back to our creative community. Yeah. And, but yes, we work. We both work full time.
Yeah, we both work full time. And oddly enough, we didn't plan this, but we ended up, we're both in the same industry, just on different sides of things. So on that note, my name's Chelsea Nettleton, for those of you guys that are new. I am a singer-songwriter and a photographer, videographer. It's been one of those weeks. Budding music producer, which I really need to get back into a regular habit of working on some things. So, and then, there's so many things that I want to do. I have a novel right now in my head that keeps
You're a creative.
I am a creative. Hence why we did this tagline of created by creatives to inspire and encourage others to live in the fullness of their creativity, because that's what we're trying to do.
Yes.
How about you?
What? Well, I'm Christy Bruno. I'm a singer-songwriter as well. Also a budding script writer. We're in the middle of writing a TV series, which is very exciting. Dancer, creative person. Right now, just, focusing a lot on music and writing and this wonderful podcast, which has been just so such a nice surprise that we did. It wasn't even planned. It was like, okay, hey, you know what I've been thinking about? Let's do this. And and it's one of my favorite things that we do in our creative world. So
me too. I look forward to it. Even when I'm like, for example, today I was exhausted, but I was still looking forward to doing the podcast. And even as we were kind of pre-planning and talking through stuff, I was like, I felt the energy kind of starting to come back, and it's I just love it. It's fascinating to me. So
me too. Well, let's talk about what we're working on right now, because I love that part of our podcast. Chelsea, what are you working on right now?
Let's see. So one of my co-writers, Pete, and I just finished up. I think I talked about this last time, but we officially finished up our most recent song. It's called Out Alive. And it was really fun to work on for numerous reasons, but it's a very minimalist song, but it's got real cello in it. We hired a cellist, and it just adds this. Oh, I love it. So we finished that up. We finished up the cover art for it. So we did decide on that. So that was fun. I just sent that over to him to get it uploaded into his DistroKid to get it out for us. So nice. That's been kind of the focus besides our TV series. I almost said the title of it.
Yes, and I'm like, keeping that quiet.
Yeah, we're keeping that quiet for now. We promise we will share that with you guys as soon as the time is right.
Yes.
So, so been working on that a little bit. This novel that keeps, if any of you guys have read Big Magic, one of the books we reference, you'll understand we get these, now we call them, the downloads. We get these creative downloads, and I've been getting these little bits that I write here and there, I'm going to do this with my character. Oh, and this, and it's just interesting to see it coming together. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. And then I've got two songs that I'm trying to decide which one to focus on first that I want to finish out. That's like my own, but I'm gonna get kind of some other maybe musicians on it. So
Yeah.
that's what I've been focusing on. How about you?
And good stuff. And you work full time. I just love that
And I work full time.
because it's so
Yes.
important to know that, like, I think,
We are working artists.
working artists too.
Yeah.
I'm doing this. It's we're always in sync a lot
Yeah.
with what we're
I
doing.
love it.
So I'm releasing my first song this month of
Woohoo!
June. I'm thinking June 13th. I'm hoping I have everything ready to do it by then. I have not released a song since 2011.
Oh, how
So
exciting.
this is super exciting. And it's a song that, I've talked about before. I work with a writing team, and we're contemplating a name for our writing team. I won't share it yet because I don't know if we've 100% decided, but I love it.
Hmm.
And this was the first song we wrote together as a writing team. And this song has been through a lot of process of learning. And
Hmm.
and so we've, like, the three of us were learning. George, who produced it, went through a whole production course with Mike Myers, and
Hmm.
like that is coming out. So it's really a lot. I've never put so much work into songs in
Yeah.
the past.
Same.
Oh, I
Yeah.
mean, to
Same.
really get a good song. And so I'm really excited about it. It's called My Own Life. And
Woo-hoo.
I had photos done a few weeks ago by a really good friend of ours and fantastic photographer, Mark
Did headshots
Frapwell.
for you?
Well, he did some, like, kind of shots for the actual CD, or for
Nice.
the single, and then also some headshots. And he's great. Check him out. If you guys are, he's another artist who works full time.
Okay.
He's a photographer. And then, of course, like, our TV series we're working on, I've
Hmm.
had a couple downloads with that, and character development. So I've been writing on that, and then new stuff. There's new songs we're working on all the time too. And so I started working with vocal
Oh,
coach.
that's right. Yeah.
So I think you guys might, if you listen to the last two episodes, talk about my trauma with, like, not sounding good to other people, but sounding
Oh,
good in here. And so I have been facing that,
good.
my new song is like about this too. It's like facing our own self-doubts and our fears to live our creative dream. Found a
Hmm.
great vocal coach here in San Diego. I wanted someone in person.
Yeah.
He's been really easy to work with. He gets my style. His name is
Awesome.
Matt Fowler. I'm really pleased with working with him. So,
So cool.
keeping it in my day. And for
Yeah.
part of being a vocalist, as you know, Chelsea, you're a fantastic singer. I'm
Mhm.
having to get my vocal muscle back because
I need to work on it too.
I haven't
Really.
been doing that. So,
Right.
and I love it. I actually love having good vocal practice
Yeah.
warm-ups. And so
Yeah.
he gave me a great so I have a routine now around that I'm doing
Yay.
regularly. Yeah. So, and it's getting better. Like, it's
That's awesome.
amazing. It's like it's kind of like riding a bike if you get that back. So
Well, and you inspired me, because it's where I live, it's there are some coaches and, music things here, but it's, a little bit harder to find. So for now, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go on YouTube and find some vocal warm-ups. And you know what, it was so fun. So I do real estate, videography,
yeah,
photography, for my, quote unquote day job, which I'm very lucky because it is creative and I do have a lot of
yeah,
fun with it.
yeah, yeah.
But I was on the way home from a shoot the other day that was, it was about 45 minutes away. And so I was like, you know what? I just need to throw up, a YouTube video. And I wasn't watching it. Just so you guys know, I was driving, being very careful, but I had it all ready to go. And I hit play before I started driving, just making that clear. And I did the exercises with them. And I actually had two kind of lined up and they were great. And I was like, you know what? I need to be doing this on a regular basis, you know, because like with you, like I feel like I need to build more like that vocal back up since I don't do it as much anymore. When I used to do it for different events or, church and things like that. So you inspired me though to
Oh,
like
good.
work on that muscle, and
It is a muscle. Yes.
it is. And you can damage it just like you can another muscle, but you can also not make it as, it can be so much stronger and so much better, if you just put the time and effort into working it, and again, I mean, y'all can relate to that with whatever your art is, is maybe like my cousin's a painter,
Wow.
and working those muscles of, just getting back to it, and practicing a technique or I don't know. I just think it's cool. Like translates to all of our arts, like all of it's
Yes.
some sort of muscle, to build and to grow.
Well, there's always a way to grow, right? There's always, you can
Yes.
be really good at something, or I can be a really great singer, but then there's maybe a different style I want to sing.
Right.
So like
Yes.
if I'm
That's
going to do
true.
a different style, I think I might have shared this before, but I remember Ariana Grande talking about that when before she did Wicked. Like
Oh,
she
yeah.
had to go and do specific training to do that because she didn't sing in
Cool.
that style. And
Yeah.
what did and then is it Chappelle Rowan? Is that how you say her last name
I
or
think it
Rowan?
I think it's Chappelle Roan.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't remember
I'm not
her last
100%
name,
sure.
but I love her. I think
Yeah.
she's great. And she talked about, she had to do endurance vocal training
Interesting.
to do her shows. And she's a
Oh, that makes sense.
great
Yeah.
singer. And so she did like literally was like exercising while singing, like,
I thought about that.
and it was funny. I was doing it in yoga. I probably drove somebody crazy next to me, but there was a like Hey Jude was on and we were doing we were doing like some like sit-ups or crunches and I was like trying to sing while doing it so I could feel the diaphragm, and it was
Right.
sorry whoever was in yoga with me and I was singing Hey Jude next to me, but I was
That
trying to keep it down. But so you do these different things to reach the goal that you want, right? And I think that
professionals, I mean, they still
yeah,
just like athletes, professional athletes. I mean, football players have, they're
trainers.
they're always training and practicing. I think it's interesting that as artists we forget that, a lot. I mean, I point the finger at myself big time because I just kind of forget that sometimes. I'm like, you need to be practicing, you need to be training.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? I think my block to that, if you're going to talk, and this kind of launches us into our next part.
Yes, it's
My
true.
block in the past to that was that I wanted to be able to create, I didn't have a process yet of
Mhm.
how to like go get lessons and then turn that into my art.
True. No, I get that. That's a
Right?
good
To
call.
be creative authentically for myself. I
Hmm.
thought if I took the lessons, if like, especially that's like visual art,
Hmm.
that I would have to paint like that person. Or I
Gotcha.
would have to paint the way, like a specific way, as opposed to taking some of the ideas that I learn to apply to what I'm trying to do. So to
Yeah.
find the right person, this vocal coach is great for me right now because he said exactly what I wanted, which is, oh, you're not the type of singer that is going to come in and just like be able to sing everything. You have a very unique voice. Let's just hone your voice
Nice.
and then do the kind of styles of singing that you want to do, but using your voice. I was like,
It's
that's what I want to
fantastic.
do. Right.
Yeah.
So it depends on who you're working with, but
Yeah.
so
Doesn't make a big difference.
that's all what we've been working on, and I think I'm so excited about this chapter.
Yes. And speaking of chapter, what are we? So uh we've been talking about the war of art.
Yes,
And so that's what when she says chapter, we're talking literally like a chapter, but also a chapter in our artistry, which works
yes,
well. But yeah, we're talking about basically the last part, I should say part of the war of art, part three.
it's kind of like three different books in one. It's
Yes.
actually a very short book. When you said
Mhm.
the war of art, I kind of got all like overwhelmed because I have that picture in my mind of the art of war. I
Yeah,
think that's a
the
big book.
thick book.
And so I'm like, oh God, here we go. We're going to get into this. And then I got the book and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I read
Yeah,
it in like 2 days.
yeah, it does not take long.
And this is
There's so much to it. Oh,
oh
it's
yeah, there's so
lovely.
much to it. I
Yeah, so
know.
it's an easy to read book, but there's so much meat in there
Yeah.
to just chew on and ponder and read again and
Yes. It's,
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree.
So book three is called Beyond Resistance, the higher realm.
Yes.
And
The higher realm. It sounds so
I know it
like
sounds so like woo,
magical.
yeah,
This
magical,
is the
and
magic of
it
this
is magic.
magical part of art.
It really is. And that's the thing, I was talking with my good friend, who I talk about a lot, but she and I, we talk about art and the magic that is art.
Yes.
And, and it's interesting with resistance, which he talks about in the War of Art, and how resistance does not want art to exist.
Right.
And I truly believe that's because of the magic that art is,
Yeah.
and is for people in their lives. And um, you know, I mean, how many artists are what in whatever in, not industry, but whatever, area get just beaten down? How many times do you hear about artists that their family doesn't support their art, that don't want to see them go that direction? Oh, there's no money in it, blah, 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 and it's like, why is
Yeah.
that? And it's that damn resistance, that doesn't want that magic in this world, you
Yeah.
know,
They
and
don't
I just
want
find
you
it
to,
fascinating.
it doesn't want you to listen to the call.
Yep.
Because when you come
Yep.
to art, if you're showing up to your art, you're answering the call in yourself to do something, to do
Yep.
this.
Yep.
And then the resistance can come from outside, inside, like you're
Yep.
talking about, other people who are like, well, what are you doing? Like, that's not safe. That's not secure. And you're like, I don't know. It's like internally, you're like, I feel like I'm just supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
just know this is something I'm
it's
supposed
something
to
I gotta
do.
do. I don't know
Yeah.
why yet. And you don't, so that's the magic of it is you don't necessarily know why because you
Yep.
don't get it all presented at once. You're just like, I'm just doing this because this is what I'm intuitively supposed to do.
Yep.
I almost, and I don't know if you're okay with this or not, but I
Have at
wanted,
whatever.
I wanted to read, um, I feel like it's the last page of, if I have the last page here, I thought I did have the last page here.
Of the War of Art.
The War of Art. It's almost like the last paragraph, and it really is. I don't know if my
Yes.
printer printed it out. So if you have that last paragraph,
Under the artist's life.
oh, is that what it is? I think mine cut it off. Does it end with give us what you've got?
Yes.
Okay, that is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, okay, I want to read.
Yeah. Please do.
Can I
Because
just
that's
read this
powerful.
page and we'll work backwards?
Perfect.
Is that okay with you? Okay.
Works for me.
This is the last page of the book. Now, I might don't not read the rest of the book, but
Right. Because there's so much more to it.
there's so much more to it, but it basically he says, "Are you a born writer? Were you put on earth to be a painter, a scientist, an apostle of peace? In the end, the question can only be answered by action. Do it or don't do it. It may help to think of it this way. If you were meant to cure cancer or write a symphony or crack cold fusion and you don't do it, you not only hurt yourself, even destroy yourself. You hurt your children, you hurt me, you hurt the planet. You
Hmm.
shame the angels who watch over you, and you spite the Almighty who created you, and only you, with your unique gifts, for the sole purpose of nudging the human race 1 millimeter farther along its path back to God. Creative work is not a selfish act or a bid for attention on the part of the actor. It's a gift to the world and every being in it. Don't cheat us of your contribution. Give us what you got.
Oh,
Goosebumps.
yeah.
I love that. And
It's
that's
amazing.
I feel like that's what we're going to talk about, like just that
Mhm.
path of, in one sense, it almost feels like that's too much.
Right.
But if I don't, it's like, okay, if I don't do it, I'm going to destroy myself from the inside out.
Right.
And I will not be furthering 1 millimeter at a time,
Yep.
meaning you're contributing to your little part.
Yeah.
You don't have to be famous or the biggest star. It's like
Yeah.
you're contributing 1 millimeter of the part of furthering the expansion of humanity.
Yep. And I love that, because how many of us as artists think so internally of, oh, nobody's gonna like this, no, or we're told, as kids, nobody likes the sound of that, and
Mm-hmm.
we constantly, draw it inwards, and we don't realize these are gifts that we've been given to give back.
Yeah.
It's so hard because we think, oh, nobody's gonna like what I have to offer, nobody's gonna want this. and instead of thinking about it like that, it's like, ooh, who can I gift this to? You know,
Yeah.
and if you're feeling a creative download, if you're feeling that download, something's hitting you, listen to it because it's probably being given to you to give away,
Yes. Well,
you know?
speaking of that, if you
Mhm.
like as songwriters, you and I, right? Like, oh yeah, I'm going to release this song. I have to tell myself, if one person hears that song, which I already know there's three because there's three of us songwriters.
Yeah.
It's helping, right? So it's helping three of
Right.
us. They are moved for whatever reason in that song. Maybe it's just to feel good. Maybe it's to feel a
Right.
part of. Maybe it's to face their own, self. Maybe whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. I can't, and I think it's Rick Rubin who talks about this more on his podcast, but we can't control how other people interpret our art.
Yep.
But if I don't share it with you,
Yep.
it doesn't do its part. It's not full circle. It's like, so completing the song and sharing it. The sharing it's also part of the art.
It
And
is absolutely.
that's really what I think this is talking about, is
Yeah.
that and what you were saying, Em.
Yeah, and I love how he says like if you don't share it. Now, granted, there are times when there's going to be things that okay, this is just for me or maybe it's for you and one other person. But the things that in your gut that you are supposed to share, it is selfish not to. And we just don't we don't think that way as artists. We don't think, again, it goes back to kind of oh, will anybody listen or watch this? It's like, oh, no, no, no. Somebody needs to hear that. Somebody needs to see that piece of art. Somebody needs to hear this song or read
Yeah.
this work or see that dance that will hit them in a way that nothing else can. And it is selfish to not share that. You've been given something
Yeah.
beautiful to gift. And I'm
Yeah.
like, ooh, that gives me chills because I'm like, dang, don't be selfish with your art, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and
Oof.
with the creativity of that can be part of it too. So, like, I mean,
Yeah.
you're thinking of a dance performance. The end result is the dance performance, but there's
Mhm.
so much that goes into creating the performance
Yeah.
and how many lives that it affects. Same with a song. Like there's so many people. Even taking vocal lessons, it's an exchange with somebody else, right? Like I
Mhm.
also bring him my songs and say, okay, I need to work on pitch on this song.
Yeah.
I want to do this. How do I do this? And then he listens to it. He takes it in. He's like, wow, this is a good song. Like, or
Yeah.
wow, this really moved me. Or so you don't know. Like, it's even in the process of getting the release that people are
Hmm.
affected, right?
It's true.
I think, what has come to me when I read this backwards, I think like we've been talking kind of like about a process,
Hmm.
how to have a process.
Hmm.
And he talks about it too. And I think that this process that so I'm kind of bookending us right now. And
Perfect.
so like I'm
Love it.
starting at the end. And then if you go to the very, very beginning, he starts the chapter with basically a prayer. And this is
Yes.
where I love he links the war of art and the art of war together.
Yes.
But I'm sitting somewhere separate, different, because I want to read my prayer to you guys that I have on my
Yeah.
wall. But he starts so the idea of when you sit down to write your song or you sit down to do it, that you have a conscious connective
Hmm.
connection that you seek to have
Hmm.
with that creative mystery,
Hmm.
which is used many different words:
Yep.
the Almighty, the great mystery, the creator, great creator, God, the universe, whatever it is. And his actual prayer, the first that Xenophon, I think is his name, the cavalry commander, the first duty is to sacrifice to the gods and pray them to grant you the thoughts, words, and deeds likely to render your command most pleasing to the gods and to bring yourself, your friends, and your city the fullest measure of affection and glory and advantage. So he's basically saying, help me to do what you want me to do here.
Hmm.
Please you. And
Hmm.
when we show up to our art that way,
Hmm.
and we have the channel is clear
Hmm.
and the downloads coming in,
Hmm.
that's magical.
Hmm. It really is. And that it's interesting, now I can put that to like, I can put what I've gone through the last, I don't know, 20 years, whatever, my adult life. Um, I can put it into words now, and basically look at it like, oh, I needed to get to this point where it's not my art, it's a gift back to, whether it's back to God or to people or, I mean, all of the above. But for so long, I would look at it going, oh, I really want this. Like, I really want to be this, that, and the other, and everything that I've gone through over, my lifetime has led me to this point where I can take myself kind of, I don't know if I'd say out of the equation, but take it from that internal of, I need this for me to what can I bring and give to other people and the great mystery, the great creator, and I'm not saying I'm perfect at that. I still deal with the insecurities of, oh, I really want people to like this stuff and, like what we're doing,
Yeah.
but way, way, way more so than I ever have before. It's an external process now, it's still,
Yeah.
there's still things that hit very deep, and the things that I'm writing about are very close to my heart or passionate or whatever, you know, but, but what it is now is to get it out, to give it away, not to validate me anymore, but I had to
Yes.
go through a lot of crap to grow and get to that point.
Yes. Well, that's the part of like, yes, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's kind of like two things. I'm hearing two things. Like in reflection, you're using reflection to see how you've gotten to where you are.
Yeah.
And that we don't do a lot of that. I think that's important to like reflect on those
Yeah,
times.
definitely.
And that, well, I know you and I know what you've been doing the last like 18 months.
Yeah.
So, when you make a decision, when it becomes clear to you, when you are given like the nudge,
Hmm.
and then you start taking the steps, so the action which you've done,
Hmm.
you start taking the action to get to where you think you're supposed to go. You don't
Right.
know the end result yet.
Right.
And I think that's the middle part of his book. He starts talking about like you get these nudges, these angel nudges, right? And
Hmm.
then all of a sudden you've got the ego that's going to be like in your way, right? Trying to
Yes.
wrestle you away from those staying on that path. And
Hmm.
ultimately, like, the process is trying to understand what you're going through. It's so hard when you're in it. That's why
Oh
I feel
yeah.
like reflection is so good.
Yeah.
And I want to tell my story of coming to California, but I don't want to talk too much. So I want to give you time to like talk more about the book because that's like a story I want to tell, but I want to wait till I
Oh
make.
no, yeah. I think because your story, the how you, I mean, I got to kind of tell my story a little bit about how, where I came from and kind of started realizing what I wanted to do, but then, shied away from it. And, I can't remember which episode that is, guys, but if you want to hear that story, you can always go back and listen. But no, I think you should, I think this is a perfect time to share because one of the things, okay, so, all right, I'll take that back. I'll have you share in a minute.
Yeah.
But we'll kind of preface this with one of the things he talks about in chapter or in book 3, part 3, whatever you want to call it, is like what Christy was just referring to is the ego versus the self. And he
Yes.
basically talks about how in order to get to that point where you're basically giving away your art or doing it to give it away. And I don't know, maybe that's, I don't know, that may not be the exact right way to word it, but that makes sense in my head that it's like,
Mhm.
this is a gift you've been given to give away. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you're working for nothing. It doesn't mean that you can't be a paid artist. It doesn't mean any of those things. It's just that, the world needs your art,
To
whether it's paid
share
for or
it,
not,
like
to
you're
share
to
it.
share it, to yeah,
Whether it's
expose people to it.
yes, whether it's one person that's going to be affected by it or a million or whatever. So in the War of Art, he talks about self versus ego, and that's one of the biggest things to overcome so that you can give your art away and share it and not be selfish and and you can please feel free to jump in on this too, because like my understanding of ego and self basically came down to, even with my psychology degree, I still was like trying to figure out, I'm like, okay, when he talks about ego versus self, he's basically talking about like self is that being able to give it away, your art. It's not something that you need anymore to validate you, versus ego is, I need this. This is for me. I'm doing this, or which stops you from being able to do something is, oh, you can't do that. Oh, this isn't right. Oh, and that can stem from any number of things. But basically, it's you know, for me is ego, for self, oddly enough, even though it's self, is to give it away.
Well, here's what he says in the experiencing the self. So he
Yes,
uses self.
perfect.
I think this is important for listeners because we're reading off out of his book. When he says self, he's talking about capital S.
Yes.
Capital S self. So he says the margins of the capital S self, touch upon the divine ground, meaning the mystery, the void, the source of intimate wisdom and consciousness. Dreams come from self. Ideas come from self. When we meditate, we access self. When we fast, we pray and we go on a vision quest, it's self we're seeking. When the divergus whirls, when the yogi chants, when the sadhu mutilates his flesh, when penitents crawl 100 miles on their knees, when Native Americans pierce themselves in the Sundance, when suburban kids take ecstasy and dance all night at a rave, they're seeking the self.
Yes.
We don't have to do all that to get to the self. I can tell you that. I know
Right.
that.
Right.
When we deliberately alter our consciousness in any way, we're trying to find the self. When the alcoholic collapses in the gutter, that voice tells him, I'll save you, comes from the self.
Mm-hmm.
So the self versus ego, like you were saying, is like you get this nudge to like, it's a voice, it's a call. It's like it's your own, it's that deeper connected voice to the mystery that says, hey, you're on the wrong path.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
hey,
You're
this
not
job
doing.
sucks
Yeah.
and
Get out.
you're miserable.
Mm-hmm.
That's also this God-centered self. It can come like there's different voices that, are trying to get you on the right path. And yes, then I think you should share it. But the self is your deepest being. The self is united to God. It is your connection to God and your higher power. And I feel like it's easy for me to explain. And this is not mine. This is something I've heard. I have a light here, and I didn't do this on purpose. This is just here. I have a light here that's plugged in.
Yeah.
If I don't plug it in, I don't get light. If I
Oh,
make a
yeah.
choice to just,
I was like, wait, what?
if I make a choice to just plug in my
We're
light,
doing an analogy here.
I am connected,
Right.
right? So that's so that's that, like, I'm making the decision to connect to my deepest self and listen to that voice.
Mm-hmm.
How do I get there?
Yep.
And as a creative,
Mm-hmm.
but that's why when he starts with the prayer, it's like there's this whole process I feel like that's going on in this part of the book.
Mm-hmm.
That I can't always tie it to creativity
Mm-hmm.
because I have too much sometimes invested in the outcome.
I totally get that. And I'm sure all of our listeners get that. Yep.
Like I want a million streams or whatever. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's like, or
Or
I
we
want
do want to get
everybody,
paid
I
for
want
our art.
everybody to love it, and
Right.
it's like, so sometimes I have to like look at how that works in other areas of my life
Mm-hmm.
and then apply it to my creative life.
Yeah.
Because when my experience is that when we're in that united feeling with our higher power, we're good.
Yep.
We are worthy. We are good enough,
Mm-hmm.
right with where we are and what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get there and the channel's clear, boom, here comes the download.
Yep.
But it takes time to like build that practice.
Yeah. And it's a constant, practice. Like for me, I noticed, I mean, I had to build up to it. look, but not knowing that that's what was happening. Like I
Well,
said,
right. Yes.
now
Yeah.
I can see,
Yeah.
so building up to it and then, constantly kind of checking back in. And like we talked about at the very beginning of this podcast, clearing the channel consistently. What is stopping the downloads? Like what do I need to what's the junk? And that all relates to, this capital S self,
Mhm.
clearing out the junk to be able to connect to what the creative mystery, higher power, God, God Almighty is trying to do through you. He's trying to put that beauty into the world because the world needs it, and there are
Yeah.
powers out there that don't want it, and so they get in our heads, they get us thinking, all kinds of things. Yeah. So yeah, why don't you
Yeah.
share with us how you kind of a little bit of your backstory with how you got to
Yeah.
California?
Yeah. And because I did think about it, reflected about it, and I thought it would be really good for this episode.
Love
I
it.
also want to say that in the book Florence Scovel Shinn, I think I talked about this
Mm-hmm.
in another episode.
Yeah.
The Game of Life and How to Play It. It's a book from the
Yes.
1920s. She
Yeah.
actually talks about that every one of us has a place to fill that no one else can fill.
Yes.
And that's the idea too. It's like I have to hear this from many different areas
Oh, right.
to be able to remember that, oh, yeah, I have this place to fill that no one else can fill. What is that? That's my job to find.
Yeah.
And the powers around us can be our parents, our culture, our other people's expectation, our gender, whatever it is that says, no, 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 get in that box, get in this box. But I believe, this is my belief as a creative person, is to find the role that I am meant to play. And I don't
Yeah.
even have to know exactly what it is, but I have a
Mhm.
place to fill that no one else can fill in this world.
Yep. Yep.
And so, and I think it starts when we're really young,
Hmm.
and we, we have these moments that if we pay attention to what those angels are, what he calls the angels, like kind of speaking to us. You can call
Hmm.
them whatever you want, but
Yeah.
that's what he calls them in
Yeah.
this book. So when I was like 17, I said to my mom that I wanted to go to San Diego State. I wanted to move to San Diego.
Hmm.
And she was like, absolutely not. I'm not paying for you to go to San Diego. Your dad works at ASU. No, no, no. You're going to do
Yeah.
it.
Where were you at the time? Right. Just so for people that don't know you.
17, I was living in Phoenix.
Phoenix. Okay.
So, and Arizona State University is the university there. Thank you for
You're
helping me with
welcome.
that. And so I don't even have any idea, except for we came to San Diego one time when I was 15, and that might have been enough to be like, this is my
Sure.
place. This is where I belong. And
Yeah.
but I said that out loud, and it was immediately like not going to happen. Well, fast forward to when I'm like 22, I came over here again, and I was with a friend, and I said it out loud again, like, oh my God, how do I get here?
Yeah.
How do I get here? How do I move here? I don't even know how I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody here, whatever. And I just was really stuck in my life, and my channel was not clear. And
Yeah.
at 23, I quit drinking, and I've talked about that earlier. And I did, I talked about the 12 steps. There's like 12 steps in all different kinds of ways. There's a creative 12 steps for creatives. There's, Alcoholics Anonymous. There's like all these different Al-Anon. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do the 12 steps. I did the 12 steps, and I talked about Mona helping me clear my channel, my
Yeah.
Native American.
Yeah.
I meditated with her. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just kind of doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I cleared my channel, and I
Mhm.
didn't know that's what I was doing. So this isn't self-reflection.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying for me, reflection is so important.
Yes.
And when I cleared my channel, it became clear to me I have to go to San Diego.
Nice. I love that.
And I just started saying it. I just was like, I don't
Just
know how I'm going to
you.
get there, but I need to go to San Diego. And pretty quick after I cleared my channel, I was working at a treatment center. We lost the contract to the state. So I lost my job there, got another job, and got fired from this other job. And it was like
Mm.
working with kids in gangs. And it was like really gnarly.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I guess I don't even know how the heck I'm going to get to San Diego if I'm getting fired like this. How am I going to save
Right.
money? I don't have a plan. I don't have any of it. And I would play this little CD. This when we had CDs with the ocean on
Mhm.
my radio, on my what do we call those now? Like they're on my CD player.
A Walkman.
What?
A Walkman.
Well, it wasn't a Walkman.
Or Discman.
It was like no, it was one of the big ones that you'd
A
like
boombox.
a boombox. I
Boombox.
boombox. This is the early '90s, mid '90s, and I would go to sleep with the ocean on.
Oh, yes.
So this is what I was doing. And I had gotten fired and I came home and I lived by myself at the time and in Phoenix and I was practicing meditation because I had learned how to do that.
Yeah.
And you learn that through doing 12 steps, the 12 steps.
Hmm.
And I had, taken an inventory of my life and I had cleared this all out and I had made a connection. I knew how to like start making a connection, plugging in my light to, with my higher power, who I change the name all the time, like the force, the great mystery, creative mystery.
Creator, yeah.
And I said, and this was a sincere prayer. And I said, okay, obviously, I want to go to San Diego. Everybody knows this.
Right.
I don't even know how this is going to happen,
Right.
but here I am. I'm going to turn this over to you because I know if you want me here in Phoenix, there's something I'm supposed to be doing here, and I
Mhm.
will do it and I will do it well.
Right.
Just, I need to know, I want to know where I'm supposed to go here.
Right.
And 3 days later, one of my best friends, oh, and by the way, at that point in my life, I had a shift where I had, as I cleared this channel, all these artist people come into my life. He was one of them.
Aha.
He was a composer for film in television
Mhm.
and had moved back to Phoenix. But
Okay.
he'd been in LA doing that for 10 years. And his girlfriend, who was also a good friend of mine, was a fantastic visual artist. So I was like
Mhm.
surrounding myself with all these creative people. I had written one song with my stepbrother, but didn't know, but man, loved it. Had no
Mhm.
idea yet I was going to be a songwriter. And he called me, my friend, who is the composer, and said, hey, do you still want to go to San Diego? And I said, yeah, why? And he's like, I got a job working for an art show that's in Phoenix. It's actually still there, I believe, in the winter time for like 6 weeks. He goes, and we're going to take it to Del Mar. They just hired me as the manager and I get to hire salespeople. Do you want to come? And I was like, there it is.
I love that.
I said, absolutely. And so I had no idea even, I think I came with $700.
Yeah.
And I had a job. We stayed on my friend's boat. Another friend of ours, his dad had a boat here, Shelter Island, and he's like, "You guys can stay there until you find a place." We stayed there for 2 weeks. It was like the Kimosabi. It was this little boat, and I literally rented a converted garage here in PB, and like moved to I didn't move to San Diego. I got moved to San Diego.
Right. You let yourself be moved.
I let the so, but I'm saying this because of the process,
Hmm.
right? Like if I look back at the process, that was the moment of self and ego where I said, I am here. My higher self wants this, but like, here you go. Show me what the next indicated thing to do is.
Right.
And boom, it happened.
Yep.
And even after that, I didn't know by moving here, there wasn't a big songwriting community there
Right.
that I knew. I ended up moving eventually a couple years later, right on Newport Avenue in Ocean Beach, California, 2 blocks away from a little coffee shop called Java Joe's. When I started writing songs, every Sunday night they had an open mic that was packed.
Yeah.
And we could go down there as songwriters and get up. And I met so many songwriters. And at the time, that was when Jewel had just left. She had just she had started out at
She's,
Java Joe's.
yeah, I was gonna say she started out there, right?
Not at that location, but at his store. He had moved to Ocean Beach. She had already gone on tour and was off. Had her first CD come out, her album that was going crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
like a year into it, I think I was writing songs for about a year, maybe 2 years. Jason Mraz shows up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and there were so many fantastic songwriters still.
Mm.
And I had no idea that that's where I would end up. And
Yeah.
so it was a long process, you know what I
Right.
mean? Of like, I heard that call when I was 17,
Right.
And then I moved here when I was 24, and I didn't actually start writing songs on stage, performing them until I was like 26, maybe 27.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know until I would hear about a year, like, oh, I need to write songs.
Mm-hmm.
And like, oh, and here, this is just down the street from my house.
That's I love
Yeah.
that so much. And fun little connection with you and me is like the very first song I learned on guitar, and one of the songs I'm known for, like with my like kind not as a joke, but like as a yeah, that's if you like we think of Chelsea singing and she's singing this song. It was Jules, You Were Meant for Me.
Well,
So I don't
funny,
know if you knew that, but it's just a fun little like connection for us again.
yes. And fun little story. I'm friends with her co-writer, Steve Polk.
Oh,
So
nice.
Steve Poltz was here too, singing with the Rugburns, and so yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jewel's great. I have never met her. Like she
Yeah.
left before I arrived in San Diego, and so
Yeah.
I've never had the opportunity yet to meet her. I'd love to, but
Yeah, I would too.
yeah, it's like but that development of moving in the direction that I was supposed to go.
Mhm.
And like my family was like, what the hell? She's moved to California. She's
Right.
playing songs. And then I met my husband. He's a surfer. They're like, whoa, this is like, but this is my home. Like this, I knew it as soon as I got here. This is it. This is where I'm supposed to be. I'm a California girl. You know,
Mhm.
I'm not meant to be. It was in my soul.
Right.
My big self was like, you need to go there. And
Right.
so I've had so many moments like this. Once that happened, it was so profound. It
Yeah.
was such a profound quantum leap of my life. And
Yeah.
both my parents were not very supportive of me coming here.
Right.
They were
Right.
they were not like I had to let that go and
Mhm.
go on my journey
Mhm.
and not know if I'll make it. It's
Right.
because in Arizona they're always bagging on California over there. Although we come in the summer when it's too hot,
Right.
but they're all saying like, "Oh, you can't live. It's so expensive. The taxes are so high." Da na na na
Yeah.
na. And so what that all of that story meant for me is that I had a process that I did.
Mhm.
I cleared the channel, I meditated, I connected, and then I turned that what I want over.
Right. Whether you were going to receive it or not.
Right. And I would be okay. I knew in that moment I
Mhm.
had such a strong, united connection with my own, God, I guess.
Right.
But I knew that, and this is a wonderful knowing,
Mhm.
that if I came to San Diego or I stayed in Phoenix, I would be who I was supposed to be and doing that role that no one else can fill.
Right.
That's like, and I'm saying that into words now. I don't think I had words then, but in
Sure.
self-reflection, I have it. So later, when I did the artist way with some friends here, because you know what? Here's the trick. I would love to say that I just stayed clear. My
Right.
channel stayed
Right. I
clear.
cleared it once and it was done.
Oh no. Oh no. Many
No,
times.
really? For you? No. I
No.
mean, no, that was the case for, oh, wait, no, it wasn't for me.
I mean, I've had to, and I recall that story a lot in my life
Mhm.
because, oh, yeah, I have a process I have to do.
Mhm.
We don't always know when we're getting blocked off in our
Right.
channel until we
Right.
are like sometimes so far blocked off that
Right.
we really have to do something to unblock it.
Mhm.
And, I've had to do that like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Now I'm wanting to do more of a regular, as more regular as I can to clear the channel
Yeah.
and not get so blocked off. And the ego is, in my opinion, what really blocks us off the most.
Yeah. And it was interesting, like while you were talking about your story, I started picturing kind of a road trip and I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So that's one way to think about it is like the ego is, the road construction or a huge pothole that could totally screw up your road trip, or mess you up or whatever, or it's the mountain that you have to, get over, you have to climb over to get to where you're going. And the higher, the self, the capital S self is where you're trying to get to, so, and it's very doable. Like it's all of those things, you can get through them. It's not always easy, may take some extra time, some extra work,
Yeah.
but we can get there. And all that, it's just a stumbling block. It's not an ender. Like it's,
Yeah.
and the more we clear the channel, the more we acknowledge that like we've been given a gift artistically to give back away. Again, depending on the situation and the piece that you've created, some stuff's just for us. The more that you do that, the more often that happens, the easier it is to connect,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've got to clear the channel all the time. I'm thinking like with this last week, I won't get into it. I mean, I've shared with you, Christy, but just, it was a rough week. It was just a very difficult emotional week because of some different things that happened, and I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't really cleared the channel with all that happening. And this goes back to a quote I heard, I think it was Brene Brown, um, where, when we're not in our creativity, when we're not living in the fullness of our creativity, like we get angry and irritable and
Yes.
rageful. And I was feeling that this week because I haven't had time. And honestly, like there are a few times when I can say I genuinely did not have time for my art and my creativity, although I still did my morning pages, except for one day. I think I
Oh,
didn't do it
that's
yesterday.
awesome.
So I still did my morning pages because that is so important to me. But this
Yes.
was probably one of those few times that I was like, I genuinely did not have time for art. And I tell you what, it was a bit of a dark week,
Yeah.
and I mean, gosh, how many times have we talked about this? And I'm still like, oh my gosh, still having those epiphanies of, wow, I need to clear the channel. I need to, you know, so I don't know. It's just fascinating. So yeah, so for those of you guys out there, we don't have it figured out. we just know what we need to do, but we forget all the time, and we need to remind ourselves. And I think this would actually be a really cool spot to end for tonight because you were talking
Yes.
about the prayer and you have on your wall behind you, right?
Oh, yes. So I did this
So,
on, yeah, during the Artist's Way. Part of our exercise in the Artist's Way is to write your own prayer. And I'll
mhm.
read my prayer. And a lot of times, and this actually is so sweet. So this is a nude portrait of me that I painted. And I should probably let you, if you're watching YouTube, I'll let you see like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Um, and my husband hung this up.
Oh, I
Like,
love
I
that.
go, you want that in the kitchen? This is our dining room. You want that in the dining room? He's like, I do. I love this, and so it's
Oh.
funny because my son's old enough now that he used to hide this under my bed because he didn't want any of his friends to see it. He's
I mean, that's
almost
fair.
20. He's almost
That's fair.
20. But
Yeah.
it says, "Oh, great creator, I offer myself to you and my fellows. Use me as your instrument. I open myself to your creativity in my life. I surrender my old ideas. I trust you and will lead me. I trust you will lead me. I trust it is safe to follow you. Please unfold my life according to your plan. Help me to believe that it is never too late and I am not too small or too flawed. I welcome your new and expansive ideas. Amen."
Yes.
And I wrote a song called Pray that's pretty much about that I have on Spotify that is about just being led, like, here you go. What do you
Mhm.
want me to do? I want to please this creative
Yeah,
universe.
I don't want to please me. I want to please the biggerness that's out there. Who, whatever that is for you, whatever because again, we don't want to make anybody feel like, if you don't believe in God, you're not like, we're not excluding you at all. Like whatever it is that you know in your gut, there's something bigger, whatever that may be for you, you
Well,
know.
and the pleasing for me, honestly, in real reflection, is being able to get to that moment to know
Yeah.
that my connection to I was told I'm a pantheist. I think I've said this before. My Canadian friends said, "Oh, that's being a pantheist." I'm like, I don't
Okay.
even know what that is.
Yeah, I can't remember honestly.
But
I
I
know.
believe that energy is in
Oh,
everything,
yes, that's everything's
right? And
connected.
so
Yeah.
there's this energetic, I'm a bit of a science buff too, and there's this energetic life force within everything.
Yep.
And when I'm connected to that life force, that's when I'm happiest.
Yes.
And that's when I want to create.
Yep.
And so it's kind of like, that's like the moment for me that feels the best
Yep.
as opposed to, and I do really love when I have people that I know will call me or say, "Oh my God, I was listening to your song," and these are usually people I know, and
Yeah.
this helped me so much, or I just love listening to this on the way to work. I'm
Mm,
like, "Oh my gosh, that makes me feel so good that it means something to someone else."
right.
But it actually doesn't feel as strong and good as when I'm like really
When
united,
you're, yes,
with
you're
that
in
my
that
this
creative moment.
energy. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So good. I love it.
Well, yes, I think this is a
This is
great
perfect.
spot
Yeah.
to stop, and I think we did this in one episode, Chelsea.
Woohoo! We don't have to split it into two this time, and we'll have some more to chat about next time.
Good job.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, on that note, you know what, and you've inspired me in this too. I want to write out my own prayer, kind of based on that. Like, it'll have probably sound very similar, but something, because I'm like, there is a spirituality for me with art. And again, there's that magic and the spirituality, with art and for everybody, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just not incorporating that enough into, what I'm doing kind of on a regular basis. So I'm going to work on creating, a prayer that fits for me,
Yes.
and I would encourage, our artist friends out there, and again, it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be to even anything specific, except for just bigger than yourself is who you're talking to,
Yeah. And
if you need to think of it that way, and
and
write your
ser-
own prayer.
write your own prayer. I mean, there's probably this was part of the artist's way. I'm sure this is like probably the artist's way prayer that I kind of like morphed into what works for me. But I
Sure.
think like you could do that. You can come up with your own prayer. You can go, it really is just like that the first prayer that he offered in the
Yeah.
beginning of this chapter, the end of
Yep.
the book. And then I do try to practice doing that if I can remember. It's
Right.
not always easy to
It's
remember.
amazing how much we forget those kinds of
Yeah.
things.
Like okay, here's my prayer.
Hmm.
God, here's my intention on this song. Is this what it's supposed to be?
Right.
And we talk about letting the song come through. Like
Yes.
that's something we talk about a lot. So our team's pretty good at it. Like I've said this before about Lori. Lori downloads lots of lyrics. She's like middle of the night person.
Like
Like
creative download, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so she sometimes comes and says, "You guys know I really feel like this song has to come." Oh, I know the song's coming through her.
Yeah.
Oh, the song's trying to come through. Let's just let the song come through. So it's like
Yeah.
some of it is practicing, learning how to like take your hands off a little bit
Right.
and let it happen.
Yeah. And
Like,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, that's it. Just letting it
Letting
kind
it
of
happen.
unfold for you.
Yeah.
You're the like being the vessel of the creation coming through you more.
Well, and what's so cool about it is, we talk about training and coaching and different things like that. And it's like, but yet letting the song come through and letting it happen. So the beautiful part of it is the more you coach your, get coaching, get training, build for us, build our voice, build our songwriting skills, the easier that for us, the easier it is for that song to come through
Yeah.
because we're prepared for it. So it's like, so it's this balance of the training and the time and the effort, to build our skills so that we make it as easy as possible for whatever it is to come through.
Beautiful way to put that.
Come on through. So
Yes.
I think we'll end on that.
We'll end there. We'll
All right,
end
you
there.
guys.
So good.
Thank you guys again so much for being with us.
Yes.
We love you guys, and so thankful that this has an impact on our fellow artists
Yes.
and humans. So
Yes.
all right, Christy. Well, you have a good week, and I look forward to hearing what you're working on next time.
Yeah, you too, Chelsea. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thanks for listening to The Creative Download, hosted and produced by Christy Bruneau and Chelsea Nettleton, edited by Chelsea Nettleton.